Greetings, fellow financial advisors and esteemed financial services leaders from across Canada. It's an honor to have you all here today to discuss an important and evolving topic. How can you build an integrated technology stack? My name is Brandon. I'm the founder of AdvisorFlow and an independent advisor based in Vancouver, British Columbia. Now, before we get started, let's just take a quick moment to orient ourselves with the functionalities of Zoom webinar. Throughout this session, you can pose your questions using the Q&A function, and we'll address them as we go along. This session will be recorded, but we'll only share the parts that are relevant and informative. Within 24 hours, you'll receive the recording in a follow-up email. And we, of course, will welcome your feedback on today's session, as we're always striving to improve the value that you can receive from these. At the end of the event, we will ask for your input on what our next webinar topic will be. So please be sure to stick around and provide input in that poll. Your input is valuable in helping shape the future of these events. And here at AdvisorFlow, we're very much dedicated to the success of our financial advisor community. And we believe that by working together, our industry will continue to flourish. What's clear is that technology companies have realized that financial advisors are here to stay. Most consumers prefer to work with human advisors over robots for financial advice. So therefore, it's a really exciting time for us as technology will continue to reduce administrative burden with being an advisor and allow us to focus on providing excellent advice. We have the pleasure of being joined by two experts in building technology stacks today, Francois Levasseur and Kelly Gustafson. Francois is the Vice President of Global Alliances at Equisoft and former CEO of Kronos. He's going to start us off today with explaining where our advisor tech ecosystem is at. Kelly then, who has over 2 decades of experience championing advisor-client experiences, is going to share some practical tips on how to build an integrated technology stack. Fun fact about Kelly, she's presently on the Advocus Board of Directors, and also was a founding member of the Advocus Tech and Innovation Committee alongside myself. I'll then wrap things up by discussing the latest trends in the financial services industry and what we at AdvisorFlow are doing to assist advisors, MGAs, and dealerships in providing a top-notch digital client experience. The rest of the session today will be an open Q&A where you can ask us questions directly. So without further ado, I'd like to pass the floor over to Mr. Francois Levasseur.
Thank you, Brendan. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, I work for Equisoft. I'm in charge of alliances and acquisitions at Equisoft. And so if you can go to the next slide, please, Brendan. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the ecosystem for technology for advisors. And I remember back in 2004, when my partners and I decided to work on a CRM system for financial advisors, we thought, or we decided to solve 2 issues that we saw in the market. So the first issue is advisors should not be entering data that is already in another system. So we said, okay, we're going to solve this problem by getting all the data for advisors. So like to give you an example, in-force policies, funds, portfolio, or client information. So that was the first challenge. The second challenge was once we have the data in the advisor's CRM, we're going to make sure they never have to retype this information into another system like financial planning, risk analysis, or onboarding solutions, or whatever solutions. Obviously, it's been 2 decades, 19 years, and there is not a single week where I do not spend at least an hour or send an email or have a meeting to continue to discuss how to solve these 2 industry issues. So it's either I'm really bad at my job and incompetent, or this is a really hard problem to solve for the industry in Canada. Regardless of that, so if you have been in business for many years, you know the market was fragmented. We had more MGAs in the market, more dealers in the market. The standards and networks were not as good as of today. So yes, we had FundServe to transfer funds, but Clydis was just getting some traction. So Clydis is the organization promoting and overseeing the standards for electronic transactions for insurance between the carriers and the MGAs. So that was in the infancy, and we had unproven technology. So what I mean by that is back in the days, advisors had many choices in terms of technology. Most of them were Windows-based or they lacked APIs and integrations. But yeah, it was the market back in the days. Today, if we look at the market, I think it's we can say that we have robust, like pretty good platforms. The standards are in place. So for you advisors, the in-force data feed coming from carriers is you have a pretty good range of data available. You also can get data everywhere. So this is one of the challenge overall. So the data, so we are in the information age, and it's the same in insurance and wealth management. So I'm sure you get access to multiple sources of data, which is creating another issue, but I'm going to get back to it. And the last one is we are about, as an industry, to solve the problem of, would say, data ownership, security, and compliance. These are important issues, but I think both on the legal side and the technology side and business side, the industry is finally, solving this problem for you. So if you look at the future, I believe that the future will be shaped by trends and innovations for a few reasons. One of them is Canada is a little bit behind when you look at the US or UK or other regions. So we have some catching up to do. So it's going to force the industry to evolve. We're also seeing new trends like AI that is also forcing everyone to adjust. We're going to see greater use of APIs. So for example, we did an integration with AdvisorFlow in a few days or maybe a couple of weeks. So it was very straightforward and efficient. And I think going forward, we're going to see more integrations like that. And the emphasis on data quality and customer experience is going to be key. And it's the next big challenge that I see, because with this amount of data and this amount of integration and systems, you got to have some kind of emphasis on data quality and to make sure it's everything, the end-to-end experience for advisors and the consumers is smooth and well integrated. Yeah, so if you go to the next slide, Brendan. So let's say I'm an advisor and tomorrow morning, well, today I decide I want to bet to build my ecosystem, tech ecosystem, and I go out and I think, okay, I'm going to buy the best CRM system, the best file management, the best financial planning system, the best analytic dashboard, portals, campaign management, marketing automation. I can find the best systems out there, and then I can look at the settings and decide, okay, I want to integrate my systems together. So I would just set up all the integrations between all the systems. I will end up with a mess. So the data will flow everywhere, but you're going to have duplicates, data duplication problems. You're going to see a lack of efficiency. The stack will slow you down. Going to create frustration in your life. Your level of happiness will decrease rapidly, and you're just going to you're not going to get the value that you're expecting. The other way to do it, and I won't go into detail because Kelly has this section of this webinar dedicated to that. But if you go to the next slide, this is another option. So, and I encourage you to be more intentional and strategic. So if you decide to take a step back and before you do anything, you look at what you need. The first thing is obviously your data connectors. So you can contact your MGA or your carriers or your MFTA dealer and ask, what do you have for me? What kind of connectors, what kind of integration points can I use to use in my practice? So this is the first thing, do an inventory of what's available. And then you can pick the right collaboration and productivity tools. This one is easy because you have Microsoft Office 365 or Google Suite, and it's all integrated, easy to use. It's pretty much table stake. And at the end of the day, you need to look at your practice and see what kind of workflow fits in your business, and then pick the systems that will integrate nicely into that workflow. They may or may not be the best systems for the best of breed for each component, but I think at the end of the day, what's important for you is you go from point A to point B when you look at your processes and workflows and make sure everything aligns nicely. So what's the result of all of that? Well, again, you have a human interaction with your clients. This is key and so important. This is one of the main value of an advisor, obviously. But consumers are also asking for a digital way of communicating and working with you. So it will enable you to provide this kind of digital interactions and financial assistance. Also, you may be able to reduce the number of portals that you're, first of all, using personally, but also sending to your clients, so they don't have to have one access for the one carrier, another access for another carrier, and then one access for your with your MGA, and so on and so on. So really streamline and simplify the whole experience. The other thing that this could enable in your practice is the use of AI. And I want to put some emphasis on AI. This is so important. So we live in the information age, and the society is going through a revolution. So you hear about ChatGPT, for example, but we have many more examples. So AI is part of our daily lives, and it's going to be part of your life as an advisor. And I'll give you an example. I did a quick test with ChatGPT. So what I did is I took a financial plan that I did. I'm not an advisor. It was a dummy financial plan, but still it was one with financial recommendations and stuff like that. And then I used it to train ChatGPT. So I sent my data. Of course, if you do it, please remove all the private information to anonymize the content, but you can try it yourself. So you can send it to ChatGPT, and then you send a bunch of emails or communications that you wrote just to enable the AI to learn your writing style and the way you interact with people. And then you can ask the AI to summarize your financial plan, like 3 bullets. Give me a summary of my financial plan. So when you send an email to your client, it will summarize everything for you. You can ask for a recommendation. You can even ask to write a financial plan on behalf of you to your client. Obviously, this is very dangerous, and there are a lot of issues with that. But just to give you an example of what's coming, because in 10 years from now, I think AI would just empower advice and advisors. It will elevate your practice. And at the beginning, you're going to feel like you have an unfair advantage. So it's kind of weird when you start using the AI tools available today. But I encourage you to pay close attention to what's going on. If you go to the next slide, please, Brendan. So quickly, I have 2 minutes left. But so why aren't we there yet? So we have some issues in Canada with data availability, but you are supported. Everyone is working, having in mind that advisor needs the right data. Obviously, we have to deal as an industry with vendor locking problems or legacy systems, but we are working through that. Market consolidation, both on the NGA side and the software vendors, is creating the fewer choices for you. And it's a huge barrier of entry for insurtechs, unlike the US or other markets where it's much more easier to innovate and launch new products. The cost is going up, and as I mentioned earlier, data ownership is still an issue that is being solved. If you go to the next slide, please. So if you're not convinced, again, having a great stack for you as an advisor will increase productivity and efficiency, improve the client experience, to boost revenue, and leverage AI. And again, maybe it's a topic for another webinar, Brendan, an idea for a follow-up, but I think this is key for you. And we have a chance to have Kelly, which is an expert in the field. So she's going to be talking about building this integrated advisor stack. And I've been working with Kelly for many years, and I can tell you, I cannot begin to tell you how much I'm looking forward to this content, because she's truly one of the top experts in Canada for sure. So back to you, Kelly.
Thank you. I appreciate those kind words. And speaking of AI, I had another mind-blowing demonstration of AI capability last night. And what struck me, because I trend track, it's a daily habit of mine, it's difficult enough for those of us who are attempting to stay on top of tech because of how quickly it's advancing and changing, and it's our job. So when Brandon asked me to collaborate on this webinar, I immediately thought about how we could provide some real value in such a short period of time, given the complexity of the topic and the diverse group of attendees. It's impossible. So you need to know this is an ongoing conversation and an iterative conversation that will not stop if you're a financial advisor who's practicing and owns a business. So my call to action is to just reach out to me on LinkedIn or through Brandon if you have any questions about what I'm going to talk about. Next slide. And what I'm going to talk about is really like a reiteration of your pain and the typical process that advisors are going through to decide what tech to use in their business. I want to highlight some of my process and a different approach to evaluating tech by considering yourself first, and make sure that you have some context and definitions if you don't know much about the concepts that we're referring to in this webinar. And then I'll walk you through a simple example and a process that I take advisors through to choose the right technology for themselves and for their business. Next slide. So on top of everything else that you have to do as an advisor, you're trying to keep pace with the changes in technology and making sure that you're looking at all the problem-solving apps and staying relevant to your clients, when for the majority of you, all you want to do is see the people, add value, build relationships, solve some problems, and sell some insurance and investments along the way. There are simply too many choices out there. It is very overwhelming to try to determine which apps and software and integrations will best serve your needs. And there's often a lack of the necessary support and understanding from the tech providers, leaving you to navigate onboarding and integration on your own, and your $59 subscription a month does not cover what you really need help with. And most advisors don't have weeks to sift through the training videos and to build new habits. So even when you invest the time to learn and optimize the tech that you've chosen, inevitably something will change and you'll have to build new processes, which is a daunting and easily avoidable task with limited support, and you end up paying for a slew of software and applications and subscriptions that are frustrating and expensive, on top of the ones that are free for you. So in many cases, advisors never truly realize the full value of their tech investment. More disappointment, and then they switch providers and the cycle starts all over again. Because, next slide, the typical decision-making process is not well planned out. You are usually either joining the boys club, and now very fitting term that I use for our industry, but not what you think. This is the best of intentions club, where advisors swap recommendations at an education conference without considering the unique needs of their own business, compared to who's making the recommendation. And what works for one advisor does not work for another advisor necessarily. Or you have technology offered by your dealer, your MGA, your carrier, and sometimes there's a lack of context given, and advisors are left to figure it out on their own, trying to implement it and trying to integrate it, sitting through demos where tech providers who lack industry experience or boots on the ground experience are the ones giving the demos. And the result is a disconnection between the problems advisors are facing and the solutions that are being offered. And then as a result of that, advisors end up building a disjointed stack of technology that may not work well together, more frustration, more disappointment. So there needs to be a more thoughtful and detailed approach to designing a tech stack that fits your unique business. And that starts with a very familiar process to you called discovery, an informative discussion around the issues that you're having, the problems that you're seeing in your business, the thinking you need to do, and the steps that you can't miss before you choose the right technology to run your business. Next slide. So it's crucial to take a thoughtful and strategic approach to selecting the tools that you're using. And that begins with truly knowing yourself, your business, your team, the structure of your business, your budget, your markets, your lines of business, like the products, your tech habits, your unique needs and challenges you're facing. This is a familiar approach. It's the same process as your KYC, your KYP, and your suitability considerations for your clients. Different information, but same kind of process. And then it's important to prioritize your challenges and know which ones technology can solve. Are you disorganized? Are you oversubscribed? Do all of your client documents exist on your laptop that has outdated antivirus software? Are you terrible at taking notes? I know some of you are feeling this pain right now. So there is a more deliberate approach and discovery process that you need to start with. And you should consider what is working for you and what is not working for you as well. Also, there is a really good reason why you want to pay attention to the technology that your MGA or your dealer puts in front of you, because they've done the due diligence and you don't have to. They're invested in solving common problems for the advisors they're working with. They take the time to vet the tools, and they can help improve your process, become more efficient, identify opportunities like Francois was talking about, and manage risk. And the more they make more money if you make more money. So they're really invested in having you run a more streamlined and efficient business, leveraging the technology that they recommend. I have a red flag. If you're excitable, like me, and get sucked into chasing the technology that has the answers to all your problems, and you're putting private client data into it, and it has not been vetted, you may be facing some unintended consequences. So make sure you're asking your dealer, and make sure you're asking your MGA first, and don't miss a step. And also make sure you have cyber insurance, cybersecurity insurance. Next slide, please. So I don't want to miss out on an opportunity to help you with understanding if you're new to the concepts that we're discussing. And I want to make sure that we share the same definitions and understanding of what a stack is. This is a commonly used term to describe the bundling of programming languages that are used to build software and applications and stuff like that. And we just borrowed that concept to represent the digital tools that work together to enhance your ability to serve your clients. So a tech stack is a combination of devices, of hardware, of software, and apps that you're using in your business to perform the functions that satisfy your service offering, from data collection and storage to information gathering and integration, communication and reporting, life app and account opening and processing, client servicing, all of those things. And again, your technology stack can vary based on your needs, your structure of your business, the products that you sell, your compliance requirements, your budget, other technology you're using, and your mandated technology. So by understanding yourself and the needs in your business and the different layers of your technology stack, as you evolve, you can identify the gaps and your current setup and determine what tools can be added to improve your workflows and your overall impact. It's like optimization, which is like your annual KYC update. Have there been any changes to your business? And is what you have still working for you? Is anything missing? Is it satisfying your current business needs? And are you using it? Next slide. Are you using it? Which is where integration comes in. Integration does not have to be complicated. I know there's a lot of conversations happening with technology, but it's not only about the way technology interacts. It's also about the way you interact with technology, and what works for you is most important. That could be a simple digital client onboarding survey link from AdvisorFlow that you're taking and popping into a MailChimp campaign that feeds your Equisoft CRM information and updates while you're on the golf course with 3 of your prospects. I mean, very great benefits to technology if you're thinking creatively about what is working for you. Next slide. So to quickly summarize, just like your client discovery process, and as a part of your annual business planning, dig into the details of you, your team, how your business is operating, and the more clarity you have around your challenges and needs, the less time, money, and emotion that you're going to be wasting on the wrong tech choices. Once you've clarified your challenges and prioritized your must-haves, consider what problems you're trying to solve or what goals you want to achieve with technology. And this is going to help you determine what features and capabilities you need in your software application. Start with your dealer or MGA or carrier for options because the due diligence has been done. And then look for software applications that are specific to the industry or your niche, and consider the features, functionality, and pricing that you will use, not the features that it has. And it's always fantastic when you find one tool that solves many problems, and then make sure you understand the cost to get in and the cost to get out. Next slide. So I want to give you just a really quick example of an advisor that's reached out to me recently. I'm taking all the personal information, so I hope you don't recognize this person. But basically, why I build advisor profiles is like the same reason why you build client profiles like this. I can very quickly distill the most relevant information down to the biggest problem and opportunities that tech can solve or satisfy. It's like triage, just like with your clients. So, and I'm also trying to color within the lines of regulation and compliance. So I want to know how old you are, how long you've been in the business, what's your license to sell, how big your block is, what's in your block, the product mix, what markets you're working in, who are your primary carriers, your MGA, your dealer, what tech are you using, what tech are you pretending to use, your attitude and aptitude as they relate to tech, what's keeping you up at night, what's working, what's not, and all those things. And this is what this looks like. When I get this information, next slide, sorry. When I get this information, these are the pieces that really matter to me, because I know that I'm going to be able to recommend solutions that'll make an immediate difference in the business. So here are some of the thoughts that I have in help that help me determine what kind of tech stack to recommend. So at 57, I know this advisor started in a paper world in our industry, but was exposed early on to the benefits of tech and is a reserved optimist. With a block that size, I know the advisor is drowning in service work, probably reactive, not proactive, with only one assistant, doing very little marketing, life insurance focused at a progressive, tech supportive MGA, not concerned about investment, but probably wants to tag and segment those referrals that are going to the investment firm. Definitely has a tech engaged niche with an executive level entrepreneurial family with older kids who is their primary market. So their clients will likely be very engaged with some sort of digital collaborative tools. And then the advisor is already overwhelmed and needs something easy to integrate with, quick to learn, because they're oversubscribed and over capacity. So preferably, like I mentioned before, one solution for many problems. And then it has to integrate with Outlook. So for the sake of time, there is more thinking that goes into that, but for the sake of time, I'm going to go to the next slide and just show you how you start to think about this. Point number one, table stakes, operating system that is up to date, antivirus software that is up to date, and a productivity suite. This advisor needs a one-to-many CRM that comes integrated and stacked. And to clarify, a one-to-many solution provides the services that you would get from multiple software and applications. So instead of 15 different subscriptions, you want to look for a solution that provides a more fulsome offering and includes some of that for one subscription. They're also a great candidate for digital client onboarding. You recall again the niche they're working in, probably tech engaged, and big insurance block. It's massive for one advisor and one assistant. So they need an automated block mining tool with easy to manage notifications, preferably also stacked and integrated. Next slide. So this is how this begins to come together. Table stakes, obviously, again, updated operating system, antivirus software, and productivity suite. Equisoft, not just because they're on this webinar, but Equisoft is an industry leader, comes vetted by many of our industry leading organizations. Lots of recommendations for you. Due diligence has already been done on it. It has compliance management features, has data feeds that go right into the system so you don't have to manually enter or upload from your spreadsheet. Has cloud storage capability, so you don't have to get an outside cloud storage. Has Outlook integration. Paper file scanning at 57 and overwhelmed, started 25 years ago. Probably has a few filing cabinets of papers. Client segmentation to make sure you're managing all of the referrals of the investment business, communication and calendar management, reporting, and on and on and on. 57 and overwhelmed, has a big block of insurance business. Life design analysis, is an industry leader, also recommended by a lot of organizations in Canada. So the due diligence has been done on it. It is insurance mining for all of those opportunities that you don't want to miss when you're overwhelmed and don't have more time. It has also presentation and compliance enhancements, and it's easy to use and has integration. So finally, the last point, AdvisorFlow. If you're not familiar, take a look at this. Customizable, super simple to use, easy online client surveys that help you with digital data gathering. Export and integration is absolutely the easiest you'll see, and it's independent. So you can take your data and put it into whatever you need to put it in if you're moving somewhere. And final slide. I am right on time. So that's what a tech stack and my process looks like when it comes to helping an advisor really understand how to get from who they are and what their business looks like to what an effective technology stack will look like to help them better manage their business. So I hope I provided some food for thought. And again, if you have any questions that are not answered after, please reach out to me on LinkedIn and I will hand this off to Brandon.
Thanks a lot, Kelly. Yeah, she's one of the pros. She's seen it on the MGA side, seen it in practices. And I think that case that she just went over is probably all too common, I would say, in our industry. So ideally, those of us on the call, be sure to share this information with advisors who you think could benefit from it, because I think there's a lot of advisors out there that are overwhelmed and need some help. So as financial advisors, we all know the importance of staying ahead of the curve when it comes to tech, especially the ones on the call, because you're actually here. Now, with the rise of robo-advisors, ETFs, and finfluencers, we must remain visible and transparent to ensure that Canadians are going to receive sound financial advice from licensed professionals they can trust. Clients expect transparency more so than ever. So the fees that they pay and the services they receive, we need to let them know what those are if we're not already. We're witnessing the cost of portfolio management services go down due to competition from robo-advisors and ETFs. I expect the advisor percentage of AUM model is likely also going to decrease. This is going to lead to less revenue per client. The only way to address this for advisors that obviously want to make the same or more money is to automate tedious parts of the process in order to service more clients. Now, all of these trends mean that as professionals, we just really need to integrate these technologies as best we can so that we're able to service more clients and have the capacity to service them. This will, in my opinion, allow advisors to help lower net worth individuals. So this whole shift will end up being better for the financial advice industry and better for the Canadian consumer. At AdvisorFlow, we've witnessed that two types of advisors are leveraging our platform best: advisors who are in hunter mode and those who are book acquirers. The former group is actively growing their book of business through referrals or by being present in their community. By automating the data collection process, we can help these advisors filter through prospects who are interested in engaging and those who are just tire kickers. The second group is purchasing blocks of business from retiring advisors and needs to assess what kind of relationship these clients would have with them, want to have with them. Technology automation will assist with that process. And instead of having an assistant call all these clients and trying to figure out where on that list they are, technology can help figure out who's raising their hand for a meeting, who needs to be nurtured, and who's going to be added to a mail list for a potential future opportunity. What formerly was collected through emails and PDFs is now being collected through AdvisorFlow. What used to be saved in emails and paper files is now being automatically organized in Equisoft CRM. Financial plans that were being built in Navaplan are being built in Planworth or other newer age financial planning software. At AdvisorFlow, our goal has been to support advisors to streamline their workflow by automating the time-consuming aspects of the process. Our platform has been enabling advisors to efficiently sift through potential clients, evaluate client relationships, and establish a top-notch client discovery process. We recognize the importance of data, and with our integration with Equisoft CRM and soon Planworth, this is going to guarantee that advisor data continues to be well organized and allows for seamless data transfer. We still have more work to do, and so please continue to provide us feedback as we'll continue to enhance these integrations. Our ultimate vision is to empower advisors with the freedom to select the software that they prefer rather than be constrained with outdated tech. Working with your MGAs and dealer is an important component of this. And so as you review this diagram, you may have some other tools that you would plug into parts of this process. But as Kelly mentioned, it's important to actually think through what your process is, what areas of the process need help, and then that's where you can start to build that customized and integrated digital tech stack. We're going to continue to build integrations that's based on advisor feedback, and so be sure to continue to share your opinion with us. I'll just give you a quick sneak peek into some of our upcoming functionality, and then we'll get into the Q&A. First off, Teams functionality. Now, this has been the #1 requested feature over the last 6 months, but it's for multi-advisor firms that have associates or administrators. Rather than having to share one account, we're going to be allowing information sharing between the different members of the team. And so for advisors that are interested in providing feedback on this, just give me a shout on LinkedIn and we can give you a personalized demo before launch. For advisors who are best in class and want to share their practice management skills, you soon will be able to do that from within the platform. We're calling this the survey sharing functionality. And of course, for our friends in Quebec, we will be soon releasing French language of AdvisorFlow to allow for multilingual advisors to engage with their prospects and clients. So this concludes the formal portion of the presentation. We'll now move over to the Q&A, and I'll welcome Kelly and Francois back up. All right, welcome back. So I see we've had a couple of questions come in. The first question we have is from an anonymous attendee. This one looks like it's geared towards you, Francois, so no pressure, but are you planning to integrate with Google Calendar in the future? And then is Equisoft Illustrate available to non-enterprise users? And will there be more integrations such as MailChimp, Calendly, etc.?
Yes, yeah, I can take this one. Well, these 3 questions. So for the first question, will we integrate with Google Calendar? Yes, this is in the roadmap. We have done a lot of work with Google Mail to start with, and Google Calendar is in the roadmap for 2023. The question 2 is Equisoft Illustrate, which is our illustration software available to non-enterprise user. I don't know if you are aware, but we actually completed the acquisition of LifeGuide. I think it was a month ago. So as you all know, and you may already use LifeGuide, but this is a multi-carrier quoting comparison software. And it has some kind of, not illustration, but some kind of projections in the future. And we also work with LDA on a few things. So I would say that there is a version of Illustrate available to financial advisors. And the illustration or Illustrate product is more geared towards the carriers. But we are bridging the gap between the two. So it will be part of the Equisoft solution at some point. In the meantime, we have, of course, we have LifeGuide and LDA that is part of the ecosystem stack that we offer. The last question is very interesting and timely. So marketing automation is a big thing. We have done an integration with MailChimp, if I'm not mistaken, so it's already in production. We also, well, it's still a bit early, but we will launch a new integration with another marketing automation tool. Actually, they demoed the integration last week, and I think this is going to be very exciting for advisors. This is a fully managed marketing automation software that is dedicated to the insurance industry. And just follow us on social media and you'll see a press release really soon. I also want to mention an integration with Chat & Sign that is doing multi-channel communication, so SMS, document management, e-signatures as well. So we are just building a lot of integrations around Equisoft Connect, which is the CRM.
Yeah, fantastic, Francois. You're definitely getting peppered, but we'll come back to some of these Equisoft questions in a moment. We have a question for Kelly here. For your 57-year-old example, if they were going to pick one tool, which one would it be to reduce their stress and provide better service?
CRM, Equisoft. That's it. That's really, honestly, it's a core part of your platform. It's a great place to start.
Yeah, I would agree. Every advisor needs a CRM. You need a way to organize and collaborate with your team. So it makes a ton of sense. Next question I have coming in is from Larry. Larry's question, I'm very impressed and interested in subscribing to Equisoft. My only concern is in the format of insurance reports. I developed my own report through Zoho. I've sent reports to Equisoft and been told that IT there likes them. I've been in contact with your company. I haven't had much luck integrating. Any suggestions?
Yes, so when we onboard a new user, we have a team dedicated in importing data from other systems. Zoho is a productivity software. They have CRMs and office tools. So what we usually do is we take the files and we import it. I will have to get back to Larry. We have a customer success team, but I think overall, if I want to answer like this question, what more in general matter, getting into a new system is really hard, especially a CRM. So this is why getting some support from our team, but also experts like Kelly could be very beneficial. You could see a lot of benefits and save time overall, because this is a very complicated process. But to answer specifically to this question, I think we're gonna have to take it offline with the customer success team and see where we are.
Yeah, I agree with that. So ultimately, when you engage a software provider, they're going to be experts at that particular software. They're not necessarily going to be able to provide advice in your entire stack. So that's where a consultant like Kelly can come in and actually help you with analysis and ensuring that you build the right technologies that will talk to each other and that will ultimately fit your business. So a lot of times, the time of research and figuring out what your business looks like might take longer than actual tool selection. Tool selection comes at the end of the discovery process. Just like you wouldn't make a recommendation to a client without going through a discovery process, the same should be for your business and tech stack. Okay, we got one for me here. What has been the biggest surprise for advisors using AdvisorFlow for the first time? A surprise, I would say that clients actually are okay to fill out information online. I think many of the advisors who have been in the business for 20 or 30 years, they're used to showing up to a client meeting almost blind, and then just asking questions to the client. And I think that innate ability to ask thoughtful questions and read a client is still so important in the financial planning process. However, the younger generation doesn't want to be asked simple information. They want to be asked more thought-provoking questions. And so I think the biggest surprise for advisors is when they start engaging with some clientele who are relatively tech savvy, they'll share a lot of information online prior to that meeting. And that's going to help you as the advisor understand, is this client interested? And then allow you to ask much more thoughtful questions at those discovery meetings and really get to know your client better. Okay, we've got a lot here. I'm just trying to filter through. Next one here we've got is, will document file share be available either in AdvisorFlow or Equisoft? I can speak to AdvisorFlow. We have document collection. The documents collected are being mapped to API and organized. We would love to connect that with Equisoft. So Francois, we've got more work to do on that front. So I would say yes. The intent is for AdvisorFlow really to focus on that front end, the data collection. CRM is a great place to store client information and retain compliance documentation. Ultimately, you will determine what you're going to use for file storage outside of that, if you use anything. In my own practice, I use a platform called Sync, but there's a number of different tools you can use. And it all comes down to what's your process, what are you already using, and how can you best utilize the technologies you're subscribing to.
And if I can add to that, so I mentioned during my presentation that one of the challenges, the data quality and the customer experience, and of course you can manage files in your MGA's back office system, in your dealer back office system, in AdvisorFlow, in Equisoft, in Microsoft Office, in Dropbox, all these different locations, and it could be overwhelming and really hard to get the efficiency if you don't have a plan and a strategy. And I think we have a responsibility as an industry, and working with your MGA and advisors and the vendors between us, AdvisorFlow, Equisoft, and others, to come up with a seamless solution that really works for the industry. To this question, yes, AdvisorFlow has document management. All the systems have document management. We have one. We can share files using secure mail, which is a way to send a link to the document instead of the document itself. And many advisors are using Microsoft OneDrive or Google Docs, and we need to integrate with that as well. And so which one are going to be the link that you're going to share with your clients? I suppose you have so many options. But again, back to the workflow, what works for you and how to streamline everything to make sure you don't get confused by all these options.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. And I think a large part of when you're choosing tech, it's what does the tech do now and what's on the roadmap? So a question came in about, how do you choose all these technologies? You can leverage somebody like Kelly. Another option is look at what the technologies do now and where are they building integrations and what sort of features are they rolling out? And are those features aligned with the future of your business? Because when you buy a software and start using a software, you might just be buying something that's not going to change for the next 10 years. But if it's a software that's always iterating, that's going to be beneficial for your business because you'll yield the benefit of those integrations and future features. We've got a question here from Kristen. Can Kelly explain a bit more about what she does? Is there a pay-per-use consultant affiliated with MGAs or dealers? Thank you.
Right now, I'm consulting with tech companies because they need to get it right. And they're a little bit challenged. So I'm an advisor tech advocate. I am consulting right now. I've got a number of different gigs. If you have a need, reach out to me on LinkedIn. And if necessary, I'll just contact your MGA or your dealer and say, hey, there's some people that are reaching out. This is what I do. If you're interested, I can help them. So simple as that. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn if you're having a challenge. I noticed, Brandon, there were another question or 5 around what the average advisor pays and what their tech stack looks like. And again, based on the information I've given, you're spending at least a couple $100s a month. And yes, you're going to have to pay for the seats for your team as well. But it's also going to depend on if your MGA has a deal. So Equisoft is $100 a month. But if you're a member of an MGA that has a relationship with them, it's $80 a month. So this varies so much. Same thing with AdvisorFlow, there's subscription levels, just like every other software. So this isn't there's no average solution for anyone. It really takes some thoughtful effort, just like it does with your clients that you're working with. You really have to understand the needs and you have to understand really what you're trying to accomplish and how tech savvy you are. And, a couple $100 is at a minimum what you're going to spend. However, if you're using that technology and if you find the right solution that come stacked and that come integrated, you're going to save yourself some money, which is, why I like Equisoft. I mean, it's the almost all-in-one solution. I know, Francois, you guys say that you're the all-in-one solution, but it's the all-in-one solution.
It's a complex problem. Like at the end of the day, like advisors run a complex business and it's going to be difficult for one platform to do everything and do it well. Platforms are going to continue to try to iterate and integrate. If I was going to bet on a course, it probably would be Equisoft. Someone asked, what about other CRMs and should we use other ones? My thought is, Maximizer is another option. I've heard getting data out of them is very difficult. HubSpot was mentioned. HubSpot is okay if you don't mind your data being stored in the US. They've got some good marketing automation tools, but they're not built specifically for advisors. So the problem you'll find is when you start thinking about policy renewals and staying on top of your book and integrations into LDA, that's where you're going to run into problems. So it's like you can choose the best-in-class general CRM, or you choose a specific CRM that's made for advisors. There might be a bit of a lag to some of the innovations for the top CRM, so say Salesforce or a HubSpot, but those companies aren't building specific feature sets that are useful for you as an advisor.
And also, if I can just make sure you remember that you, if you are like IROC or MFDA, you have to go through your dealer in order to have an understanding of what technology, what CRMs have been approved and vetted, because you have a shared responsibility for compliance obligations and stuff. So that's really where you start, is what's available to you. A lot of the other ones in the Canadian market have multiple price points, very frustrating, hard to get in, hard to get out, and there's not a lot of choice, which is, another problem that we're trying to solve with all of the acquisitions Equisoft is doing, for example.
Yes, and it's very complicated. So I know there are other vendors, so you can research and do your own research, but it's very complex. First of all, you need to get the data right. Otherwise, you'll have to maintain your enforced book of business and enter all your mutual funds manually, which is a non-starter for most advisors. And then you need some compliance features. For example, in Equisoft, we make sure that when you're connected to your dealer and we import all the mutual funds and segregated funds, for example, once you do that, there's no way you can manually change the market value, the number of units. There's no way you can print official account statement. There's no way you can just delete or change the information. So we lock in most of the data, and this is required by your dealer. This is just a couple of examples, but it's a complicated business, and I think the industry is trying to support advisors as much as they can. Please, again, I said at the beginning, ask your MGA and your dealer what kind of data is available and what connectors are available. So you might be able to get your data onto HubSpot or other CRMs, but it's a discussion with your distributor.
Yeah. And for this webinar, it would have been sweet if I just said, guess what? Everything's only integrated. There's one system that's going to solve all your problems. But what we're really trying to get you to think about is how to make decisions about technology, how to think about the future of where technology is going, and then think about what does your dealer MGA use to help you make those decisions. Because this is not something that's going to be solved by any one organization. It's going to be solved by advisors, technologists, and MGA's dealers working collaboratively to really build the fully integrated system. So that's my opinion. Now, we had a question about the average advisor tech stack price. I think it's difficult depending on your line of business and scale of your operation. Like I think I pay somewhere between $700 and $1,000 a month for all of my technologies, but it really depends on how you run your business. Kelly, I don't know if you want to shed any more light on that.
No, that's it. Like it really depends on, you need some core stuff. So, you're going to spend anywhere from 50 to 150 on a CRM, depending on which version that you want to get. And then it's typically a per license. But you'll have a primary and you could have some sub licenses that'll be less expensive. And then depending on the line of business, I mean, if your dealer manages this for you and pays for some of it for you, even better. However, that's not typical with the stuff like AdvisorFlow. So it's another, how much is it, Brandon? How much is AdvisorFlow?
Oh, base level $30 a month, quite inexpensive.
30. So, you're looking at a couple $100. And if you want to add those like peripheral things like Zoom, you're paying for a Zoom subscription. I have a bunch of templates. If you guys are really interested in this information, I'm more than happy to send you out some checklists and some templates for how you go about understanding what to use and what satisfies what need in your business.
I'm going to try to answer a couple of questions here. We've got one asking about processes. How did you go about mapping your process? And then another question from Eric about relationships. So I started in the Freedom 55 channel. There was a great processes taught about how to engage in financial planning. And then, of course, going through CFP, they teach you about all the questions you need to ask related to cash flow, retirement, income protection, et cetera. I think when it came down to processes, I literally asked clients after the planning process, which parts of this did you like? Which parts did you not? And a lot of times they shared with me during the process, because a lot of my clients are in tech and they were infuriated that I was sending them a Word doc to gather information. But I literally looked at that sheet that I had in my presentation and thought about where can technology fit in. And the reason AdvisorFlow started was that first discovery portion. No softwares were doing a good job of digitizing that. And even today, MGAs are suggesting advisors use PDFs to gather information. But my vision is that eventually the platform will allow advisors to share best practices. Data is going to be organized, integrate into CRMs that you're using, and the financial planning softwares that you're using. You may be using Equisoft Plan, you may be using Planworth, but if the data is all collected and organized, you're not needing, and you can push it, there's less data entry for your staff. And I just think my staff's time is better spent doing other things than entering data. So when it comes to relationships, this is a people business. People can go to Questrade, go to Wealthsimple, they can buy financial products, They can buy insurance through Policy Me. But then when shit hits the fan, who do they call? Are they going to be calling a 1-800 number? That's when I think the advisor relationship is going to be so paramount, and that's not going to go away. Kelly, Francois, I don't know if you have any thoughts to add there.
Sorry, I was typing answers in the chat.
There's so many coming in. We're just trying to keep up.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up as well with the number of questions.
So we've got a couple of questions, advisors asking for help from Kelly. So what I'll suggest to those advisors is just add Kelly on LinkedIn, give her a shout, and she's offered to share some basic templates. And then if it makes sense to engage from there, you can. Question about advisors. Go ahead.
If I may, a quick question from Francois Laporte. So hi, Francois. Good to hear from you. So Francois Laporte is, is a visionary in the industry, and he asked a question about AI and if AI is able to help with the cleanup of data, and the answer is yes. Data duplication is a common process, so it's kind of easy to deal with that, but AI can certainly help enhance the data, especially in insurance. But it's much more than that, and I think it will require, and let's talk then about maybe a follow-up webinar about how AI really empowers advisors, because it's here today, and I encourage you to play with ChatGPT and do something very simple. So tell ChatGPT, learn from, and then paste an email or something you wrote, and then ask ChatGPT to write, a financial recommendation for a client that is afraid of the market downturn, and please use my writing style and a friendly manner, and to reassure the client and see the results. Mind-blowing.
Okay, so we are running out of time. Before we wrap up, I do want to run a quick poll, and this is just with regards to our next webinar. So I'm going to launch the poll now, and everyone should be able to respond. This is how we chose the title for this event, so building an integrated tech stack. Now we're wondering what you're curious about for our summer webinar: how to successfully integrate a new book of business, how to go from a solo practitioner to a multi-advisor firm, or compliance and the user experience. How do you get the best of both worlds? We've got about half that have responded. And it's pretty even, but successfully integrate a new book of business. So seems to be running ahead. Compliance too. Okay, so we're gonna have to do webinars on all of these topics apparently. Okay, we'll end it there. It was pretty close, but yeah, we ended up getting, I think, slightly more for how to integrate a new book of business. For the other questions on the call, I know we're coming to the top of the hour. Feel free to add us on LinkedIn, and we'll happily answer some of these questions. I'm excited that we got this many questions. It means that this is a topic that you care about. So thank you everyone for attending. Francois, Kelly, any final words before we wrap up?
Still reading.
No, thank you. It was great. It was always fun to interact with advisors. So thank you for the chance of having me here and answering some questions. And I'm looking forward to the next webinars. It seems you're going to be busy this year, Brendan, and also Kelly. When I looked at the questions, there's a lot of need in the market for an expert like yourself.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And I look forward to being one of the very few who's actually out there advocating for advisors when it comes to technology and trying to improve the process of even discovering what's a good fit. And you know what, I appreciate the two of you. Both of you are very interested and amazing collaboration partners for me. So thanks to the two of you as well for your efforts in trying to improve this.
Everybody on the call, thank you for joining. Share your thoughts with your MGA and dealer, because the only way that the process gets better for clients and advisors is if we speak up. Otherwise, decisions will get made behind closed doors. Thanks so much for attending today, and looking forward to seeing you all at the next webinar.